Greetings, Graveyard Innovation clients and friends. Today, I want to briefly talk about some reasons why women have so much trouble selling themselves. And before I do that, I want to briefly give you a little bit of background about myself. So, as most of you know, I work as a strategist and a strategic communications expert for Graveyard Innovation. And I have a PhD, a master's, and an undergraduate degree in communication studies, where I really looked at women's roles and specifically women in organizations, in professional settings. And so I wanted to and was motivated to discuss some of the barriers that I see, have researched, and really experienced about why women have so much trouble selling themselves. I want to have one brief caveat, which is that this is not a how-to video. It's not a set of prescribed suggestions about how to overcome these barriers. Instead, it's to give you a landscape so that you can say, do I exhibit some of these tendencies? And do I really read these tendencies onto other women in ways that might make it more difficult for them to understand themselves as empowered and smart experts that are worthwhile and worth getting clients? So I'm going to talk broadly about 5 different categories, and there's certainly going to be some overlap. The first of those is we really, as women, doubt ourselves. We think other people are better, and we really feel late to the game. And so it takes us a while to come into ourselves in an organizational setting. But because of that doubt, it can vastly affect others' first impressions of us and really affect our credibility when we're trying to establish a rapport with potentially new clients or in an organization that we might already be a part of. So we continue to doubt ourselves. We might not speak up as much in a meeting, even though we know we have the answer. We might not challenge someone because we don't know if we'll have any other support. We might, when we're pitching to a client, say, okay, you're right, you must not necessarily need my services. And that's all part of a self-doubt. A second reason why women can generally find it more difficult for them to sell is that we feel grateful for what we already have. We feel grateful and humbled by the opportunities that have presented themselves. We feel grateful that we have 5 clients, and so we might not find enough worth, or we might doubt ourselves a little too much to go out to find the next 5 clients. One place that this can really originate and really highlights this trait is when we're trying to negotiate a sale or negotiate a salary. There are some pretty startling statistics about the limited number of women who, when they're offered a job, for example, do not negotiate their salary. And part of it is to this feelings of doubt, doubting ourselves, and generally, because of that doubt, when we're offered an opportunity, we take that and we feel grateful that we've been offered it anyway and that someone else didn't receive that opportunity. So we don't find it necessary in order to try to negotiate that higher sale. A third way that women can find it difficult to sell is because we embody passivity and we're passive. Now, I'm not trying to insinuate that in your everyday communication or as a woman you are passive. I certainly identify as a very active communicator, a direct and confrontational communicator. But I can be passive in the ways that I approach selling and in the ways that I approach a long-term career plan. It can be more difficult for women to see ourselves as innovators, and we generally think that as long as we put in hard work and we wait our turn, we will be rewarded. So, for example, you might not have put in for a promotion because you thought, as long as I've worked hard and I've been here long enough, my supervisor will want me in that promotion, I will be selected. Instead of being an active participant in your career, instead of having a long-term, active and strategic goal about how to make better sales. So we think as long as we wait our turn, as long as we put in enough energy, other people will let us know how to be successful, that they'll choose success for us. So that is how women can be passive generally about their career, even if they don't identify or other people don't identify them as passive communicators. Fourth then, and very connected to this question of passivity, is that it can be difficult for women to develop our own voice. Culturally, it's very restricting because we have some understanding that the only 2 ways to communicate are in a feminine style or in a masculine style. And especially as women, that can be a very difficult situation to be put in. We don't necessarily want to be seen always as feminine and this more subjective and passive and passive way. We want to take energy and we want to take control, but that can also have consequences for you in selling, because for me, if I do embody some more traditionally understood masculine traits, you can be understood negatively as aggressive, as a bitch, as someone who isn't a team player, not someone who wants to work with. So it can be difficult to try to develop our own voice that feels authentic to us when we're selling if we constantly only feel like there's two frameworks for us to choose from. So the last reason why women can find it difficult to sell is that we can lose sight of our vision and really get bogged down by the everyday. I'm sure you have heard some of these things before, that women are great multitaskers, and women are really organized. So because women are constantly cast into these different settings with these different characteristics, and a lot of times as caregivers, as someone who really needs to accomplish a multiplicity of tasks in the everyday, we can lose sight of a longer strategic vision and a longer goal about how to get ourselves there, which can negatively impede our ability to make a sale in the moment and really make it difficult for us to really look for the light at the end of the tunnel, because all we can really see is the darkness of that every day. So these are just 5 general suggestions and general barriers that women face that can make it more difficult for us to sell. We doubt ourselves. We feel grateful for what we have. We can exhibit passivity when we're trying to make long-term career goals. We have difficulty in developing our own voice, and we can lose sight of our vision because we get bogged down by the everyday. Now, like I said at the beginning of this short audio clip, this isn't, and I don't speak about this to try to make you feel bad if you feel as though you've exhibited some of these characteristics. Instead, I hope that we can continue talking and dialoguing about them in order to point out and reflect about ways that we not only exhibit these characteristics, but the ways that we might also communicate with other women when we're having a sale or when we're mentoring other women. I'm happy to keep talking about this. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I will talk to you all soon.